into Champs League. Now the Chiefs taking on Sin Gaming as the Chiefs continue their undefeated run, maybe, or if Sin can bring it back and start one of two very necessary wins.
Yeah, so we'll see whether they're able to get it done. And as we jump straight into Champion Select, some bans flying through, but there's a noticeable one on Sin's side.
Yeah, so let's have a look here. Rise, Fizz, and Nah there for the Chiefs, and Nunu banned away from Sin.
Yeah,
well,
and
Ezreal ban as well.
Ezreal also taken away from Swiffer. That is one person that has been spamming the heck out of this build, making sure that he has a lot of rotations in it. As we said, it's strong at a lot of areas of the games, but it is a specific target ban for the patch, which leaves open something like a Victor to come through.
Yeah, Hecarim actually banned away there as well, so going to leave now Chiefs with their first pick. You mentioned Victor. We've seen Alistar, junglers as well have had a lot of priority here. Chiefs have a lot open, but Kallista's open. Radier takes it.
Yeah, Radier's favorite champion. He was so vocal about how it's strong, and he will play it until it is nerfed just because he thinks it is outright the best pick in the AD carry position right now. Facilitates a lot of EGM's aggression. He's able to go in whenever he wants, can be pulled back out, and also has that all-important engagement tool to be able to throw himself into the midst.
I feel like Callista was the champion that all the Vayne players were waiting for. It's like, just give us a highly mobile, outplay-centric champion that we can play competitively, and it is Callista, who's seen a ton of bans, especially against the Chiefs. And I like what you said about supports. EGM's going to get thrown in, out, wherever he wants.
Yeah, exactly right. He can play as aggressive as he would like, overextend, then able to set up a lot of the team fights. I also like the fact that you're able to control a little bit of your support's movement. If there is ever a miscommunication, you can just grab him back like, no, I didn't mean that, friend. Like, let's try again.
Let's reset here. So we do see Alistar and Corki come through as Sin's first two picks. Corki, relatively good against Callista. Not maybe Tristana levels, but still a fairly strong pick.
Yeah, it certainly is. And the idea, you kill her within the headbutt pulverize with a big one, the phosphorus bomb and the sheen proc. So you understand exactly what they're trying to do. They want to punish Radier for the pick right now, and that is a strong bottom lane coming out of Sin. Doesn't give anything away from their team comp. A little bit of engage and disengage, some poke coming through there, but just two very solid picks.
Yeah, we have the Chiefs now picking up Rek'Sai and Rumble as their next two picks. So jungle and top lane, Swiper, he's really been feeling the Rumble recently.
Yeah, certainly has, and able to pick it away from Rosie, which you have to also point out. Rosie very comfortable on the Rumble up there in the top lane. Spooks likes the global pressure and the early gank advantage that Rek'Sai is able to give him, so you understand what they've come through together there. Double knockups already. Swiffer doesn't play Yasuo, so we won't mention that. But they have a little bit of zone control in that team.
They do, and I think Swiper's Rumble has been very impressive recently. Solo killing Porky on Aurelia, I believe, which is at least a soft counter as far as that matchup's concerned. He's always been a great player, but it's nice to see him gravitating a bit more towards carry-esque champions and not just pure tanks. As Sin Gaming, considering their next few picks here, don't have very long to select them. It will be Varus and Gragas, though, so probably mid lane and jungle there.
That is brave coming through from Rhymeister. Varus is a very strong laner at the moment. You know, maybe he was expecting the Azir to come through, so we get the counter pick there, but that is just a lot of immobility into someone that has historically played assassins incredibly well. I'm talking about the likes of Ahri, LeBlanc, Zed. Swiffer had them all, even throw a Fizz in there for good measure. This guy plays a lot of assassins, and to take a mid laner that is immobile like Varus into the mid lane, I'm not going to call it disrespect, but a little bit of confidence coming out of Rhymeister.
Yeah, clearly valuing the strength of the pick. No Yasuo either can be picked into it, which is not a bad matchup as well. But we'll see what the Chiefs do and respond with. They have to pick, looks like one of their lanes blind. It's actually support and mid lane they're missing. So Sin Gaming giving a bit of extra information over there.
Yeah, they certainly are. So they're able to, I guess, get Rosie, the last pick there, see what they're willing to go with, maybe decide whether they want a lane swap. But Chiefs taking a very long time to come through with these picks, and we mentioned the assassin factor.
Yeah, this is assassination on two different lanes, actually. Annie there for Ejin, which is great with Callista, but Diana coming through, that's a throwback for Swiffer.
Yeah, it certainly is. You know, once again, something that if you've been checking out his solo queue page, he's played a lot of at the moment. They team up incredibly well from the jungle position. You know, we spoke about Shen being able to use his global to help split pushes. Diana, that split pusher in the mid game. Rek'Sai can do something similar if Spooks gets a good enough tunnel network set up, really be able to support that. And initiation for Ejim right now. He's going to grab the Annie, probably rush towards a talisman, and he's going to be looking to start up those fights, and then Radier can just pluck him out of danger if he ever overextends.
Or do the reverse. Just throw them all forward. Use the talisman, use the fate skull, get them all in there, and then just initiate that way. We've seen Ejim like to be aggressive. The likes of his Annie, his Alistar, all really good stuff.
Yeah, it certainly is. And Rhymeister still keeping the Ignite as his summoner spell here. Would be surprised if that's what he went with. Maybe change it over to something like the Barrier. But
oh my god, that's a Galio.
Galio top lane coming through. It's funny because the person that thought that this was a good lane matchup was Spooks. Spooks was very, when Alistair was a top laner and like last Worlds, like Spooks was so sure that Galio was going to be the next big thing. And who was on his team that used to theory craft a lot with him back then?
It was Rosie.
Rosie, their support player. Spooks and Rosie did a lot of the draft, a lot of the theory crafting. So right now, we're going to see if it works because he's pulled it out against his old team.
Now, important to remember as well, Galio has seen some quality of life changes on this patch. His ultimate significantly buffed in 5.12.
Yeah, it certainly is. It doesn't respond to tenacity in the same way. You get caught up in there a little bit longer. You know, there's no Udyr running around, meaning that as soon as he taunts him, he's going to get broken out of it. So they do have to play this carefully for the Chiefs. There's a lot of wombo combo potential that Galio brings. Also, just a rock in the top lane. Not going to be able to be shoved out by a Rumble at all.
Yeah, as far as the matchup goes, like, Galio's W's Bulwark is really good against Rumble's Q.
Yeah, 100%. He'll heal from it. Like, straight up, it's going to give him health back as the game goes on. MR stacks incredibly well against what is an AP assassin and AP top laner coming through there. So, yeah, there's some tools in Rosie's kit. It's going to buff up his AD carry a little bit late game with that Bulwark as well. And we'll see what build he goes for. Does he go for something like the Abyssal Scepter? Because that's seen a lot of play recently and fits very well into Galio's kit.
Lots of potential combo from both sides here. We'll have to see exactly who gets the better of it this time because there are some crazy team comps between these two. But get on Twitter and let us know who you think's going to win this game. Is it going to be the Chiefs with CHF win or Sin who must win with hashtag Sin win?
Yeah, exactly right. Will Sin win this game? And you look what they've put together. You question whether there's some synergy mismatches. You know, Galio, Gragas, that doesn't really look like what you want to bring to the same party, but they've gone for it, and we'll see whether they're able to execute a very execution-heavy focus with things like Varus and the Alistair in there. You have to mention the layering of CC, and if they get it right, there is just so much lockdown to deal with a relatively squishy comp.
Yeah, and that's important to note as well. Diana actually surprisingly tanky, but everyone else, especially Kalista, she's the one that can't get caught in the big AoE. And you just think about the Galio Varus ult synergy. That's juicy.
Yeah, it certainly is going to lock him in place for a very long time. I would question maybe do they have the damage to deal with it? A lot of pressure on Reinmeister in the mid lane to get out a lot of poke damage before these engage starts up. But if they're ever able to chip people away, Rosie can fly in, get those big flanks, flash over walls, and get the ultimate off. Idol of Duran, I think it's called. Throw it back a little bit. I play Galio a lot, I'm not going to lie. It's going to mean a good thing for their team fight.
And again, that ultimate got buffed recently. It's got a better AP ratio. The damage is more consistent. It's higher in general. A little bit, smoother to use there as well. There's a lot to like about the pick. I'm excited to see what Rosie does into his old teammate here, Swiper, in a matchup that on paper sounds reasonable for Galio, but we'll have to see how it plays out. But on the other side for the Chiefs, I just look at Raider and be like, why does he have Callisto?
Yeah, exactly right. They let it get through. They must have known this because, it's something that's been said time and time again. Do not let Raider get Callista. And when you pair it with something like the Annie, it's just an aggressive lane combo that if you ever get caught out early game, you will die. I want to touch on Rosie a little bit more because lane swaps might be an okay thing for Galio. We haven't seen it in practice because it hasn't been picked up that much, but I'm looking at the late wave clear that he's able to bring early game especially. And the Bulwark making him so hard to dive, he might be able to withstand a 1v2.
He might. And I like the frontline element there as well, coming in for Sin. Like, you usually want to put a big beefy people in front of Callista just because she has to get through you with her Ren stacks and like stacking up with the Hurricane usually, or even single target, which takes significantly longer. So getting a nice frontline, we've got Alistar, who's pretty much tanky for free with the ulti, Gragas, who's massively tanky from the jungle, and Galio, who's pretty good in any situation against Callista. I see what Sin are trying to do with this comp, and I like it.
Yeah, you certainly understand it. You don't have to go huge AP. You can grab something like a Frozen Heart in there as well to get the cooldown reduction going, so we'll add some utility to the team.
Well, you know what? Let's find out as we're going to hop back to the caster desk with Atlas and Rusty.
Thank you very much, Paste Time. And Rusty, it's Galio in this game.
There is a Galio in this game, that is true, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the Galio performs. We were just touching outside on the fact that there could be lane swaps, and in saying that, I just wanted to touch on the fact that maybe they're not looking for lane swaps just because it's a Galio into a Rumble. That is the easiest lane you could ever be put in your life.
If you're a Galio.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe not the
Rumble. Just making sure that I get that one right.
Yeah.
Haven't seen a whole lot of Galio just recently. But like Spawn said, being able to heal off your opponent's damaging abilities probably going to be helping you.
Yeah, so one of the coolest factors and why it might be the lane swap as they were mentioning is because that shield can heal you. Annie not going to be doing a single thing.
No.
At all.
She might be able to stun him for a little bit, and then Callista might be able to get a little bit of damage down. But I guess we'll just have to see how Rosie's able to play this one out, how often he's been practicing it. Might be a little bit rusty, dust off the cobwebs. But I want to remind everyone the fact that Rosie was a caster main. That's what this guy played all the time. I, in fact, remember when he subbed into the mid-role when he was playing on Team Immunity, of course, then became the Chiefs. But he was in that mid lane. He was playing Anivia. Things were working out beautifully for the side. So Galio definitely going to fit into his wheelhouse quite well.
Yeah, one of the more versatile people. And of course, looking at the top lane of Sin, you have to think to yourself, Rosie is the only person in the OPL that would be so willing and ready to play anything abstract and weird. Throw in that wild card pick, and it's nice to finally see that one come out.
The man that played support Ziggs is now on the Galio in the top lane. And we are under the rift, ladies and gentlemen. Radier and Stealthic's going to find one another. Radier with the deeper ward, winning. On the side of the Chiefs. They are going to have one auto attack left on that one. Of course, Radier knew that was going to happen. Bit of a dance-off in the top side of the map, and so far a very defensive start from both sides.
And of course, I have to give a lot of credit to Galio's dance compared to that of Rumble. It does give him the upper hand in direct dance combat.
Yeah, that's true. Dance combat, definitely something that's very important. Swiper poking his little drill out of the brush as Spooks and Juves going to see each other. Huge start there for Spooks. Juves knows that no tremor sense is going to be spotting anyone out in the early stage of the game. And you had an interesting piece of information here about Juves and the reason behind Spooks' potential Rek'Sai pick this game.
Yeah, I know that Juves does like to play a fair bit of Evelynn. He's been playing it mostly in that solo queue, of course, but in saying that, the Rek'Sai isn't the echo that we have seen so much of from Spooks. He's gone for that Rek'Sai, and it's because it's so good against the Evelynn, so almost negating the potential for that pick during Champion Select. A very smart draft.
Yeah, meaning the Juves can't hop onto that sort of newfound comfort, but we'll see. Of course, Gragas definitely a very popular pick at the moment and can impact the map early on as well, which is what Juves likes to do. Likes to be able to help Rymeister get ahead early on, and we'll see whether he can do it this game, of course. Sin coming off a couple of difficult losses. Absolute and Avant have been their last two, and looking to try and get some redemption, but it's pretty difficult to go up against the undefeated Chiefs and attempt that.
Yeah, it makes it even harder when you do have to win this game to have that contention of making the playoffs whatsoever. So a very difficult predicament to find yourselves in. But they've got the makings of it with this team comp. They've got that Wombo, they've got the Galio-based team fight, their Siege, their Poke. Their draft all around is actually quite strong.
Yeah, Radier and Egypt now demanding the respect most definitely here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be quite a difficult lane as a 2v2 to actually find yourself coming out with an advantage as Radier and Egypt right now in this lane. But all in all, it's gonna be quite execution heavy from Sin.
Yeah, we'll see whether they can get it done. Juves waiting in the wings for a potential gank here as Swiffer. Ooh.
Having a bad time.
Yeah, a couple of blighted quiver stacks as well on top of this Diana, meaning that Q did hurt a lot. Swiffer may need to blow flash here. Juves coming through. He's going to flash out of the way as Swiffer. An interesting angle, just making sure he gets out of the way of the body slam.
It's the psych out. Whenever a Gragas comes into your lane, you never know if he's going to use that flash body slam. And most of the time, it's actually really hard to react to in terms of your direct reaction time. You have to predict it. So flashing away is a safety option right there to get himself out of any potential bad situation.
Well, we'll see what does happen. As Egypt and Radier just continuing to put pressure on this lane. 21-12 as far as the CS is concerned in that bottom lane. 15-20 as Rymeister is actually starting to pull ahead there in the mid. And Swiper is getting bullied by Rosie at the moment.
Yeah, very standard and expected, funnily enough, saying that in the Galio lane, is that the Galio will be able to bully you out indefinitely. Swiper, not a chance in the world of dealing a single point of damage to his opposition in the top lane. So very content there, Rosie, getting the 1v1 that I would imagine he was looking for.
Yeah, Juves is going to get Spooks found out here just a little bit as he went quite aggressive. Trashbo coming around as well. There's the headbutt into the wall, actually. Spooks just getting bounced around. Radier trying to get some work done in this fight as well, but Spooks somehow going to survive after using that flash.
Yeah, Spooks getting ganked on after being very aggressively positioned to find Juves, of course. Works out okay in the end. The rest of the Chiefs side, Egypt and Radier, made their way up the river fairly quickly to get into the fray, prevent any kills from coming down, and everything is just reset again.
Yep, well, back into the standard lanes here as Radier and Egypt pressing forward. About 8 CS, but look at this. Egypt utilizing that Sentinel damage as well as Radier able to get a whole lot of harass through. Really making stuff happen. Juves makes his way around at the same time, so they are going to have to back away for now. Egypt just continuing to play up here, and Chiefs Not scared of the jungler whatsoever.
Juve's just playing the numbers game right now, just being there. Stealthic's super low, Trash Boat has no mana, so there's literally nothing this bot lane of Sin can do besides give Juves a high five on his way out, perhaps, but they're not going to actually get a direct kill threat. Chief's able to sit there, don't need to respect the damage threat from Juves at all.
Speaking of needing to respect, Swiffer definitely needs to start respecting Rymeister's damage, or he might get soloed out here in the mid lane. 28 CS to 38 in the next couple of seconds. Oh, actually misses that farm. Damn it. Relying on you, Rymeister. Tail of Arrows is going to come through. Rymeister just looking to try and push this one out as quickly as possible and head back to buy. So a 12 CS advantage here for the Varus, which is something that you would expect until that Diana hits that level 6.
Yeah, of course. And Swiper actually bringing back the CS discrepancy in the top lane to be fairly even, only 4 between them. So all in all, not too bad considering the, let's call it a soft counter matchup. It's just more of a you don't do damage and I'm a Galio matchup.
The I'm a Galio matchup.
Yeah, so every matchup with a Galio when you're magic damage is just the I'm a Galio matchup. Really.
Sorry, I'm a Galio.
Yeah.
We'll see whether Spooks decides to go full damage this game, just to say, sorry, I'm a physical damage dealer.
I am immune to Galio being Galio.
The natural counter to hi, I'm Galio. Well, I think we've said Galio enough times.
Yeah.
Just don't need to say it anymore for the rest of the cast. The freeze going to be began here for Swiper as Rymeister going to get caught by the ultimate there of Swiffer. Resets it with the Q, but Juves is in here at the same time. Looking to try and turn this around is this Diana. Trash Boat coming in as well. Spooks finds his way in, gets the knock up onto Trash Boat. No unbreakable will for this Alistair at level 4 just yet, but Swiffer did take a lot of punishment.
Yeah, so
far, yeah.
Rymeister being level 5 kind of removed any real kill threat from this lane. Swiffer being 6, a lot of mobility coming out of the ultimate use there, actually saving it, only using it once at any time, so still has it available now to be used offensively. And you can see Rymeister starting to respect the lane a little bit more. Dana naturally with that kill pressure of just being level 6 up against what is a tier from a Varus. So this lane has completely changed around.
Yeah, the fact that 2 sort of offensive-based items have been picked up from Swiffer when he did only have that flask from before, so a little bit more of a power shift. Tons of pings onto the map here by the Chiefs as Juves is spending some time checking out their jungle. And already just organically, the Chiefs with an 800 gold lead.
Yeah, nothing crazy, no kills on the board, but the big difference, you have to look at those AD carries and just take a second to really let that sink in, Atlas, to the fact that the difference between them at 7 minutes is that big.
And again, lots of damage here. Egypt's going to get the stun off as well. Level 5, so no Tibbers to come down, but Sin pressured out of this lane once more. 66 to 38, just ludicrous is the power. And I like the early sort of boots 1 pick up here by Radier. Of course, one of the only ways that you can make Omar's boys hop you a little bit further is by grabbing that flat movement speed from your boots level.
Yeah.
Noting that, making sure he can get as far as possible.
Yeah, he's going to be able to hop around at his own will now. And again, the control in the lane has already been in favor of Chiefs since the start. Juves coming in to give some high fives and say, I'm sorry, but your lane is completely wrecked at this stage. And it's going to stay that way for quite a while.
Wow, look at that harass damage. Radier and Egypt, they're just so good at playing this lane out. Radier's always on top of it. Every time Egypt manages to land an auto attack, procs that passive from the W, make sure that he gets the extra % health damage off.
That's the cool part between this lane, of course, and he's super high auto attack range, and Radier able to play aggressively knowing that Egypt will have that stun. So there's no threat of the Alistar turning it around because Annie will be able to stun him and stop that from happening. Corki does have a lot of base damage and tried to make some trades, but you cannot compete with the Kalista Annie auto attacks, and especially not once they start putting in spell rotations to boot.
Unfortunately, Swiffer unable to find the Q or the cannon creep. Very, very sad there from the mid lane as this Diana struggling just a little bit. Rymeister picking up a whole bunch of farmers that wave crashes into the turret as well. But we'll see whether Swiffer can turn this one around now that there isn't quite as much attention in the mid.
Yeah, it's definitely closer to a 1v1. You can see Swiffer kind of stalking around the outside, the edges to try and make something happen. And meanwhile in the top lane though, you have to admit, Rosie's starting to hurt, doing a lot more damage.
Yeah, Swiper though, keeping up in farm, most definitely. So that is good for the Chiefs, but it's going to get to a point where this Rumble's going to stop doing anything. We'll see whether Sin make any moves with this Galio. Make sure that they can get that Idol of Durant to the right position to start affecting how this game is going to go. Because also there's the fact that, you know, his E, you're able to get that, that gust down like the river, something like that, make sure that your whole team can get into position a whole lot faster.
Yeah, it's very good as an enabling spell, almost like a mini Sivir ultimate in terms of that relative, that relative instant speed boost that the Galio can provide. Not even taking into account that it actually does do a fair bit of damage. So
yeah.
A very good summoner spell to be in the face of the side. You look at the rest of the Sin lineup, they've got the Alistar and Varus even needing a bit of extra move speed while he's channeling the Q maybe to chase people down.
Yeah, Stealthic's actually forced into that Sapphire Crystal pickup as well instead of being able to grab sort of that Amp Tome, get towards something like a Sheen, but a little bit difficult. We are going to have a slight pause, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we are on your screen at the moment. We are going to get back into the game ASAP. But for now, let's just take stock. Have Sin done enough to try and get themselves sort of through this stage of the game? And, of course, Radier is very far ahead.
Yeah.
We can say that.
Yeah.
But is having a Varus in a good position in the mid lane and the fact that Galio exists in the top lane, is that going to be enough for Sin?
So Sin, because essentially the Corki is in a very awkward position, you have to look at the rest of the team and say, how are they going to perform? How are they going to go on the back of this Varus, this Galio in the top lane? They've got a very strong mid game. They've still got very good siege and poke. They've got very good counter engage as well. So you sit there, you siege down turrets, poke down turrets, and then suddenly the Chiefs want to turn it onto you with a Diana. You're going to be in the face of a Galio, and that's not necessarily a position where you want to find yourself. So based off the team comp alone, they've done enough to get through 2 of their key members, but you have a look at the bot lane. This Corki is in a very rough spot that needs to get that Trinity Force around the same spike.
Yeah, he really needs to start getting to a point where he can really get things done. And at the moment, you just flat out can't. Trashboat there on the Alistar trying to make things work, but he's just been sitting there spamming Triumphant Roar. Hasn't really been able to get too much else done.
Yeah, he hasn't had a chance to do anything really. Every time he starts to rotate, tries to roam, things don't really go in his favor, of course. Last time we saw him go mid, he just kind of threw down a Pulverize and walked away.
Yeah, did I guess save them from a potential 2v2 that the Chiefs very used to handily coping with, but as we talk about it, Swiper might be in trouble here. May need to use the teleport, but of course you can't with an Alistar there. Gonna get slowed down for now. Pulverize is there, but flashes out of it. Swiper, that was the only thing he could do to save himself from that one.
Yeah, Alistar actually saving his combo for as long as possible to essentially either say flash out or die, because he was prolonging it for long enough to let the rest of his side rotate. But you can see, speaking of rotations,
yep, Radio's going to be able to lock that one down. Uses the Rend, picks up that Dragon very, very easily here. So the Chiefs able to trade what was a gank attempt, so a flash for the top laner for a Dragon. So very, very well done.
Yeah, very easily traded, in fact. If they don't get a kill from the top lane because there's no flash available, then that's a very big mistake from this Sin lineup. Of course, good pressure to place in the top lane, but an instant reaction from the Chiefs secures them the Dragon, and they've got complete control of this bottom lane.
Yeah, Swiffer actually deciding on whether or not to pick up that arm guard, decides instead that he wants more damage, grabs himself a big old rod, and he's going to head back to the mid lane.
It's just mid laner's curse, isn't it? You go back,
I've got 1,600 gold on her.
You could buy anything in the world, but you can afford an easily large rod.
Yeah, so that's the only option.
Yeah, exactly.
Understandable.
And he's
I
got
feel your pain, Rusty. Well, Stealthic's able to use those rockets now to keep farming up. He's 40 CS down, but that gap has not exactly widened. So that is good news for this Corki, who wants to be able to grab some more bits of this Trinity Force if he can.
Have a look at Galio's item build.
Interesting.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Is this going to be the Galio of Command?
Yeah. The Galio banner flying on the minions as they push. Beautiful.
Spook's going to find Juves there. A little bit of a prey seeker. Swiffer going to help him out, clearing out this pink ward. So Rosie's going to poke his head down the river just a little bit, but he's going to head back into his lane afterwards. Rosie utilizing that passive to great effect at the moment. He wants nothing if it isn't magic resist.
Well, funnily enough, yeah, using the passive to give himself some extra ability power with that. Doesn't even really need to use his shield in lane right now. You can see, not respecting the damage of Swipe, actually using the shield to push minions because it gives him extra ability power also.
Yeah, that's a good point. Is that, you know, a fair amount of ability power, or is it just a bit negligible and may, you know,
as someone that doesn't ever see or play Galio, I couldn't tell you the exact amount. But
if I could just have a breakdown of the numbers per level, that'd be really cool.
In saying that, it's enough to give you wave clear on the melee minions, opposed to just the range minions.
Okay.
So that's how much, as someone that has played it once.
Wonderful. I like that. That's actually very, very important, making sure that you're as spell efficient as possible without having to move towards that minion wave. As sort of a melee but caster who has a lot of range in his kit, it's pretty important to be able to finish off creeps with your abilities as opposed to having to auto attack.
Yeah, so Galio, in a way, doesn't want to be a melee caster, just wants to throw out spells as much as possible without having to auto-attack. Because the second you're in range to take raw damage, you need to have the shield on. And that's when you're using 3 spells to actually waste all of your mana to ensure you get last hits.
Yeah. Well, that Righteous Gust almost able to kill the backline minions. One thing I do like about Galio is the fact that his ability names are really cool.
Yeah. Idol of Durand, Righteous Gust.
Walk.
Yeah. In saying that, as we were talking about Galio's spells, they stole the blue away here, denying it from Varus. That is a very big factor considering
And Stealthix is going to get caught up there.
Wow.
Ready with the 1-2 punch. The Ren coming down. Stealthix feeling like he never wants to come back to this lane ever again. Oh, Rymeister just missing that Q. Yeah. Nice little footwork there by this Diana. Who are we heading forward? Resets the ultimate there as Swiffer. Actually gets ulted by Rymeister here as well. Misses the Q to Swiffer. Rymeister trying to turn this one around. A few more auto attacks. If he lands the next spell, it's going to be bad news for
damage.
Swiffer. Spooks coming in. Swiffer somehow surviving as the flash on Burrow comes down. Swiper teleports in. Rosie still in that top side as the equalizer comes through. Juice will have to walk through it. Just body slams over the top. Nicely played. The Chiefs save their mid laner. Nothing else really working for them at all.
No, they actually do still save Swiffer, and that is a big factor.
Oh,
Hello.
There's the flash. Tibbers, Radiant looking to try and pick up first blood. There's the Fate's Call. Radiant wants to find the kill.
Radiant.
There's no spears in that guy, though, so this Kalista not going to be able to find it. Man, they're just using everything, trying to get a kill, but still none for the whole game.
He wanted it desperately, wasting that flash when he wasn't in range to ensure that there was at least a chance of it. They don't find it. Trashboy wants to grab.
Radiant grabs it.
Stomps the ground in anger as it actually gets taken by the Kalista.
Yep. Torn from his grasp. Swiffer going to fight 2 pink wards?
No, he only found 1 because it was outside the bush, but they were both placed to find him as he was running away in the previous fight.
My goodness. Well, another pink ward there. Back up there for Sin. Of course, Swiffer not actually entering the brush, because he just does head back home. So he's going to be on his Hourglass completed. Somehow Swiffer actually finding himself with completely even farm on Rymeister, who was in control of that lane. Definitely looking like he was able to get things done, but sneaky Swiffer able to pick up the farm when he needs it. Egypt picking up the damage when he needs it as well.
Yeah, I don't think he needs the damage, but certainly picking it up. That is doing a lot right now. Not even really having penetration items. It's just the base health of Annie is just ridiculously low.
Yep. Radiant, though, he went back to base, picked himself up a Runar's Hurricane outright. His farm is completely ludicrous, almost above that 10 a minute mark.
Yeah,
Swiper going to lose his turret, though.
Swiper going to lose the turret mostly on the fact that he had to use his flash earlier and then teleported in about 2 minutes after that. So Sin finally finding a way to capitalize on being in top a lot. They lost their first dragon for that, so all in all, getting the tower for it is not too bad of a trade. Swiper not having his teleport does need to rotate for this dragon that is up now. And of course, Galio having his. This might be the fight we're looking for if you're Sin.
Yeah, Radiant looking to try and get something done. Oh, actually getting caught up there by Juice, but Tibbers comes down. Celtics needs to be careful. There's the explosive cast because Radiant needs to... Oh, he gets caught by Rosie. 3-man first blood goes down for Stealthix as he's getting punished by Swiffer. Burning down as well now. Bulwark not going to be enough to help him, but Rymeister now in amongst this fight. The Chief members are so incredibly low. Spooks, very cheeky tunnel's going to get him out of there, but it's not going to be the same for Swiper. And the Chiefs trade 2 for 1 and grab the dragon. So, oh, actually... Nope, dragon still not dead. That was the one from earlier. Egypt going to find Juves.
Not going to actually find Juves, though.
No, not really. And they've discovered Swiffer now as well. He's completely out of mana. Doesn't have a flash. Not doing anything. Rosie just grabs the kill.
He tried to bait a flash as well by like making that sudden juke towards the wall, but none of them actually being baited into that.
No.
Funnily enough, if they did get baited into it, they would have found Spooks on the other side recalling. So unfortunately, none of them actually flashing to find that Rek'Sai with no health on the other side recalling.
Some cheeky play there by the mid laner of the Chiefs, almost donating the jungler, but definitely a fight going slightly awry there for the Chiefs. And Radier took a whole bunch of damage and then found himself with a big old circle and a scary gargoyle in the middle of it.
Yeah, so Raider actually tanking the dragon at the same time as the flash ultimate from Galio.
Yeah.
A lot of damage came down all at once. They pick him up. Of course, the Varus, the Galio, as we were mentioning beforehand, the fact that those two can still carry them through fights, and that Swiffer's focus was on the Corki. He's not doing anything right now. So focusing him, potentially a big mistake. The Varus, of course, the more highly prioritized target, if you were to compare, but again, if I was Swiffer, I wouldn't have walked through a Galio ultimate. I would have gone for Corki anyway.
Yeah, probably would have done the same thing. But of course, you know, Stealthix now picks himself up first blood in amongst all that, so the Corki feeling a little bit better.
Yeah, Corki finally getting some gold to back up what he didn't really have to begin with.
No.
Going to help him a little bit in terms of that direct fighting capabilities, but Raider is just carried away so much right now. His gold difference is unbelievably high between the two. You cannot compare AD carries even after that kill. You have to look elsewhere.
Yeah, it's definitely true, of course. 60 CS in the lead does mean definitely more than even a few kills coming down for this Corki. A little bit unfortunate as far as that matchup is concerned, but around the map, Rosie definitely looking good in comparison to Swiper, of course, picking himself up a kill towards the end there against Swiffer, and things looking okay. 1-3 now in favor of Sin. We'll see whether they can carry it forward. This is something that we've spoken about as far as Sin is concerned, is the fact that they look a bit sloppy as far as sort of their late game decision making is concerned. We'll see whether this is something that they've managed to patch up over the break. Now come into week 7, definitely a time when they really need to get everything together. And against Chiefs, if they manage to, it's a big deal.
Yeah, and this is the game where the Chiefs lost last split, so everything on the line for Sin. They do need to find a single win in this game. There's no way for them to be able to lose this game and have their spot in the playoffs. So we are back in.
Well, we'll see whether game number 13 is unlucky for the Chiefs or whether it's just Rosie.
That's true.
Because Rosie, of course, on the other side now, we'll be able to once and for all see whether or not it is sort of his bad luck or whether it's going to be the Chiefs in the unit. Ejim actually going to get a nice double stun here as Trashboat and Stealthix trying to come through, and Chiefs able to take away the dragon. Second one goes over to them. Oh, Ejim gets caught. There's a chain of corruption. Nice use of the ultimate there as Radiant.
No!
He got headbutted to safety. What the heck, Trashboat?
Trashboat.
You silly Billy. What was that? Oh my goodness.
Oh,
no.
He'd be so salty.
Oh no.
They do still get a lot of damage onto Annie. The Kalista ult is no longer available, and they've got control of the mid lane. So they are going to be able to find themselves a trade for what was a very big mistake. A little bit of an oopsies there from Trashboat.
Well, look, maybe just zoning them away. The zoning headbutt into the turret take. So they do definitely win the trade there. So taking all of the health off Ejim was helpful.
Yes.
So, look, can't take too much away. Radiant now going to be hanging out towards this bottom side. Does have the Berserker Greaves, and with that Rend stacked up, Renan's Hurricane there as well. Makes short work of these minions. So we'll see whether he continues to stay here. But with 3 members
it should have
towards
his
this bottom side.
Now.
Yeah, it doesn't want to do it. But yeah, you're exactly right. 2-item spike here for the Kalista at 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's going to be very big if he does have that. We're not entirely sure just yet. No, not enough. Very close, I would imagine. In saying that, the rest of this inside, they are starting to hit some big spikes. You can see the Banner of Command finish from Galio. It's weird saying that's a spike, but it is a Galio who works
the Banner of Command power spike. I like it.
The infamous Banner spike. But he does work well with magic resistance, so it's going to help him out a lot. And it's going to make it very difficult for Rumble to try and deal with that split pushing that can come through from a Galio. So it's actually a very smart pickup here from this in lineup. You've got the Trinity Force from Corki. Does not have his boots upgraded. And we don't have the Last Whisper just yet from Rymeister, but working very well towards getting that. So,
Swiffer going to get caught out. Chains of Corruption on top of him. Uses the Zhonya's, turns it back around. Spooksy gets the double knock-up on both of the carries. That equalizer was fantastic from Swiper. Everyone has to move out of the way. Juve's going to die for it, and the Chiefs turning it on in the mid lane. And I thought Swiffer was most definitely dead.
That was sick from Swiffer just then. Using his ultimate to get in range to knock up all of them with his E. All 3 members dodging the Gragas ultimate at the same time. Wonderful. And then the rest of the Chiefs lineup came through. The cavalry arrived. The equalizer connected with Spooks, knocking them up.
Well, Ejim looking to try and help Radier out by clearing out some vision. As the top lane outer turret does fall down. Swiffer going to be backing as well. So Rymeister going to clear out these Raptors. Trash Boat just backing on away. So a little bit of a lull here, ladies and gentlemen, as Celtics is going to clear out this bottom wave. And who's the onus on at this point, Rusty, as far as who wants to be making the plays? Who wants to be putting on the aggression?
So it's definitely Sin looking to make the plays right now. The fact that they've got the team comp to work around their mid-game strengths. When I was seeing them go through that draft, the Varus and the Corki said to me, mid-game enough. They've now got the Gragas and the Galio, sorry, I always forgot his name. That's how often we see him, to actually bolster their forces and their poke potential.
Yeah, well, we are going to have another pause, ladies and gentlemen. That's why we're chilling out here. And the reason I asked the question, of course, I saw the Varus and I was thinking, okay, yeah, not exactly a late game option. Definitely spikes there in the mid game. But Galio, I just don't know where to put him. As far as, like, when's this guy strong? When's this guy not strong? It seems to be, like, if you're against a team with a whole lot of extra magic damage, then he's just going to be super strong all the time. And if you're against a team with, you know, 2 AD damage dealers, he's going to be basically useless.
That's not exactly. The way that Galio works is similar to the Mundo of the world, where you just stack one type of resistance. The difference is, if they're a magic-heavy team, you do damage also. So that's the key factor right there, is that the Galio always going to be relevant, but against a very magic damage heavy team, as we are seeing the Diana and the Rumble, he's going to be very relevant because he can use that Banner of Command to continue split pushing and then stack an Abyssal Scepter with that Chalice most likely going to go for that Athene's Unholy Grail. And then he's going to be impossible to kill for everyone except Rayder. And even in saying that, if his shield is available, you probably won't see Rayder killing him anytime soon. Yeah, well, this is the thing with the fact that Rayder hasn't gone sort of that tank-busting build with all the attack speed where he can get sort of damage done quickly. He's more this, I'm going to AoE down everyone with the Hurricane and the Bloodthirster, which is now completed. A different option there. 80 CS in the lead, though, for this Kalista. Still pretty dang far ahead. Swiffer entering split push mode. Going to be ulting around here. Man, he's missing cannon creeps like you would not believe this game, but still has a lead as far as that farm is concerned. Morellonomicon now completed for the Diana. And Radier in a different lane to Swiffer. And this is something that we were talking about as far as Direwolves and Absolute were concerned last game, was the fact that they were sort of sharing a lane with 2 carries, and Chiefs definitely opting out of that. The Chiefs have actually made a really smart adaptation to play right now. The Banner of Command was used in the top lane before Rosie recalled to go bottom, completely negate any opportunity of a 1-3-1 split. They've sent Rek'Sai top lane, the physical damage, to take out that Banner of Commanded minion, and they can just have Diana splitting in the bot lane against the Galio. Of course, kill threat kind of low, but in saying that, they've now got the Rumble mid lane to negate a lot of the mid-game strength of this Sin side just by throwing down the Equalizer. Sin can't engage, and it's not that Rek'Sai was really able to. Was that an ultimate?
That was. That was a Chains of Corruption. Bit of a blood rush to the head there for Rymeister as he threw out the ult, but not going to find anyone with it. Spook split pushing now on this Rek'Sai. Actually does have the Fate as well. So possibly looking for that Black Cleaver and shredding through armor. It's going to be very, very handy here because Radier is going to then have a field day with doing basically true damage.
Yeah, it's going to be very potent between them. Of course, the magic resistance stacking is very evident as he wants to defend his pink ward so desperately.
Oh, Egypt almost. That would have been half of his health. Just ridiculous. There's the flash tippers though. Rymeister, a whole host of trouble. Swiffer finds his way in, but it's going to be Radier that grabs the kill. In goes Egypt one more time. Equalizes down as well as Rosie's teleported in. A double kill now as Swiffer is super freaking deep on this fight. No Idol of Durand available for Rosie, and that's an ace for the Chiefs.
Yeah, the Chiefs find the fight they're looking for, and one of the funniest interactions I've ever seen. Swiffer picking up while Sonya's the shield, spinning around and connecting to Gragas, who body slammed through, and then that killed the Corki. So that was a little bit crazy. The rest of the team fight, you can see Rayder just jumping all over the place. The Galio not able to find the engage they're looking for. The chains from Varus were not available, and he got flashed onto by Egypt. So a very convincing fight. They're going to be able to get the dragon now, and they're going to have to recall afterwards. but they've just found themselves in a commanding position.
Yeah, so many wards so far up the map here as well as the Chiefs starting their stranglehold. Blue buff is going to respawn soon. We'll be able to grab that one, but 3 dragons to 0. This is something that the Chiefs always do. Admittedly, they lost a fight around dragon this game, around that second one, but still able to pick up all 3 of the first ones. And no team in Oceania has yet managed to find out how to deal with how oppressive they are with this dragon vision control and controlling this objective in general.
You have to give a lot of credit to the bot lane, though, in that respect. The fact that EGIM and Raider are always winning lane, it is so hard for your duo to respond. That wasn't even warded. He's just saying, get out of my jungle.
That wasn't even shoutcasting. That was just giggling. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. As Baron is going to get mad at Spooks and Rosie's going to make his way to the mid lane. Doesn't find any minion waves, though, and a lot pushing in here for Sin.
Yeah, they've actually got a lot of pressure on this bot lane turret. Rymeister does have his core items, but he's opting into that split push because there is a free turret for the taking. So that is going to go down in favor of Sin. Chiefs looking to make a trade, though. They're running up mid.
Yeah, running up the mid lane looking for the inhibitor turret because they've taken the inner already. Only a couple of inners remaining, but that's going to be the other lane.
They've also found Stealthix.
Yeah, Stealthix. Oh, dear. I don't know whether he got the reset.
He didn't.
He didn't. No, Lunar Rush still on cooldown. Only for another couple of seconds though. Stealthic's going to throw some rockets here against these minions. Going to clear that one out. So mid lane not going to be where Chiefs find any joy, but they've got a ton of vision around Baron. And that might be the next place they look for a fight. Swiper going to be clearing out the minions in the top lane, seeing whether he can get to a point where they can push down that top inner turret.
Yeah, you say they have a ton of vision around Baron. They just have a ton of vision. You look at where they've just done the dragon, of course, not too long ago. All of the residual vision that has been around that area, still very evident. And then the pressure, the pinks are starting to gravitate more towards that Baron area as Sin trying to weasel their way back into their own jungle.
Yeah, Spook's able to get a knock up here if he wants to. Chiefs sort of hanging around the side. We'll see how they deal with Rosie, who does have that ultimate back available. Distortion is there, like we mentioned before. But doesn't have the flash just yet. Chiefs, what they're going to do is take down an inhibitor turret. Oh, Rymeister flashing forward. There's the ultimate. Spooks is going to die from this one. Oh, actually not. Survives it somehow. Swiper and Swiffer now caught as the equalizer came through. Flash out of the way from Swiper. Does need to be super careful. Rosie not going to find the Q as Swiffer decides instead to tank up a turret and take it down. Interesting stuff. And I don't know what just happened, but no one... Oh, Juve died. Okay, Juve died.
Yeah, they just completely out-rotated Sin. They ran them around like headless chooks. Rosie still has his ultimate available, but could not pick a single target to use it on. Because they were changing directions every which way, and he couldn't actually keep up. I think his head was spinning by the end of that one.
I believe so.
You could see for no particular reason, Swiffer realizing the top turret was low, tanking that one up himself. And they do
He was looking for a way out, and he's like, oh wait, we didn't take this turret? All right, I'll deal with it, and then we'll move on.
I've got this.
Yeah, well,
Swiper doesn't have that, that's for sure.
No, but he does silence himself. Probably would be auto-attacking that annoying minion. Oh, actually, the extra silence damage doesn't do anything to it either. Oh my goodness. It's a sad day to be a Rumble in this lane, but does deal with the banner of commanded minions.
Yeah, it's going to be quite alright. Of course, the Rumble scaling very well, has his 3 magic penetration items and has enough magic resistance to deal with, at the very least, the Galio and somewhat the Corki, who is quite mixed. So the biggest concern, if you have a look at this Sin lineup, is going to be that Varus. If he can make something happen, we saw the engage from him in the last fight. Even Spooks, the tanky member of the side, getting extremely low.
Yeah, this is his power spike at the moment. Rymeister's not going to get a whole lot stronger than this. Mirror Mana is there, Ghostblade as well as that last Whisper. Probably wants like a Mercurial Scimitar, something like that, maybe even the Bloodthirster is his next option if he wants to go something more sort of flat-out aggressive. But Swiffer's waiting in a flanking position, and Swiper can teleport in here as well. Swiffer has been turned on, though. Can use the Zhonya's if he wants to. Juve's taking a lot of damage, actually. Moonfall goes down. Radier, though, is going to take down Rymeister. Trash Boat with the Unbreakable Will, making it look a little bit breakable here are the Chiefs, as they now stream up the mid lane. Rosie does have Idol as Duran, but uses the flash defensively. I was expecting him to go straight in on top of that one. Spooks, in fact, is going to do just that as Juves gets over with a body slam into his own base. Turret falls down. Oh. Swiffer diving in. Does still have the Zhonya's there, of course.
Oh, yeah.
What?
No, he doesn't anymore.
Yeah, I think he thought that he'd used the Lunar Rush, but it was on cooldown. Little bit sad.
Yeah, look, they still found the inhibitor after
They
that,
did.
so they've got a very big advantage like they didn't already. The Chiefs finding themselves in a very commanding position, even more so than they were 5 minutes ago. 3-0 in Dragons with the next in 40 seconds. The Baron available. All of the control around that Baron area, the only exception being mid lane, is in favor of the Chiefs. And now that's just up to them to try and systematically close out the game. And I just wanted to quickly touch on how Rek'Sai is actually really good into Galio.
Oh, yeah.
You just stay burrowed, and he
Oh,
taunts
yeah.
you, and you pop up.
So it's basically like Udyr.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness, his own personal bear stance.
it's just good.
How very upsetting here for Rosie. Can't exactly make it work just yet. Has decided that he does need to have some of that armor. Frozen Heart's going to be built up. Of course, cooldown reduction also a fantastic thing. We'll be able to get a whole lot of extra cooldown
That's a
reduction.
lot
in
of
fact.
farm, by the way, on Galio. Compare that to Rumble. He doesn't have much.
No, it's 100 CS.
Oh!
But yeah, there's the Idol of Duran. So much extra damage. Heal down for Radiant, but he's killed now as well. Rymeister's going to be traded. Swiper in a whole bunch of trouble. Swiffer coming in. There's the move for all into 4. Instantly removes Stealthix from the fight. Juves, he's going to have to body slam his way out as Trashboat gets a decent pop shot. Pulverize. Double kill goes down for Swiffer, and they are going to be able to head back to this Dragon. It's a decent attempt there by Sin, and Rosie, he's still got some fight left in him.
The big issue is, of course, the fact that Rymeister went down. They initiated the fight super well. Galio hitting exactly what was required of him. In saying that, and that's a very low spooks, they didn't get the follow-up from that. Of course, all of the damage placed, but the trade immediate. The Chiefs finding Rymeister, the key source of their damage right now, and he just did not have an impact from there on out. The mid laner of Chiefs comes through, the cavalry arrives, and Swiffer just plays cleanup.
Yep. Easy as you like. He's going to be able to get that one finished off. Might be able to head back, and we'll see what he decides to pick up, whether it's a Luden's Echo, whether it's something else. Decided to go for the Merc Treads here as well. So wonder whether he did actually know about the Galio boss, or whether that was for something else here. Of course, Chains of Corruption also something that he probably wants to remove. And he is going for what looks like a Rabbidan's Death Cap as that third item.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt as well, because
Yeah.
Swiffer after all.
That is a very, very good point. I was not meaning to take anything away.
No, it's just the questioning is something that I do need to second guess every now and then.
Well, Swiffer now with that Blasting Wand, wouldn't mind if he turned that into a Void Staff before finishing off that Rabbidan's at the same time, considering the fact that there is a fair bit of magic resist, but Rymeister clearing out this top wave, and the Chiefs' positional advantage most definitely around this Baron.
Yeah, they're looking for the Baron or to force a fight near the Baron, of course. They've got complete control when it comes to relative 5-on-5 team fighting. You can see Spooks again split pushing, and I just love this change in their strategy to keep Swiper nearby, have Spook split. He's still got the tunnel system to get back into the fight. He can just place a tunnel nearby. He can see one in the mid lane on either side and be relatively close, and he can deal with the Banner of Commanded Minion that Rosie has put down there.
Yeah, he's already got the Black Cleaver in his build as well. 30% cooldown reduction as far as that's concerned, so really nice here for Spooks. He's going to be very happy with how his build's working out. He's throwing barrels into this Baron pit, trying to make it angry at Ejim. Actually, Baron's still eating through. Oh, Radiant not going to get caught on the right side of that one as Ejim flashes forward. There's the tip as stun. Swiper lands a wonderful equalizer in amongst it as well as Rosie. He's getting chunked down, but Radiant not in it this time around. There's the Ren. So much damage. Swiffer is going to lock down Trashboat. Rosie's super low. Double kill as the Diana comes flying around the side. And the Chiefs now, they've already taken down the inhibitor. They'll go straight to the Baron.
A big mistake. Of course, you can tell Sin trying to make something happen, but they just can't do it. They stuff up the engage by the smallest amount, and they just turn it around. Egypt using that talisman. They've turned onto the Baron now. They're going to be able to get this uncontested, and now their advantages have just skyrocketed. Rymeister's just going to try and get some minions in their control to slow down this push. But it is going to be so hard to deal with this Chiefs team.
Yeah, Swiffer now completes the Rabbidan's Death Cap as well. But look, I take it all back. I don't really mind about the fact that he hasn't picked up a Void Staff because he's just gone for squishy targets. Rymeister and Stealthix, there's no hint of any magic resist. Just now as Rymeister managed to complete that Hex Drinker. So if he just continues his focus on these champions, then doesn't really matter too much.
Well, in saying that, even Rosie did not go for the Abyssal Scepter first. He went for the Frozen Heart to have some armor to deal with Radius. So the relative magic resistance is somewhat there, but Diana's got enough base damage to get through that very easily.
Yeah, and he just doesn't really want to be killing Rosie anyway, so he
No.
doesn't care all that much.
But it's just an added side effect of winning a team fight here and there.
The double Aegis might help out just a little bit as far as Jude and Rosie are concerned, but we'll see what does happen as we move forward in this game. Last Whisper now completed by Radiant, looking at his 6th item, which will be, of course, that Mercurial Scimitar. Pretty standard stuff here as the double lifesteal has already been completed. And the QSS being available going to be very helpful against Rosie's Idol at Durand. As that one comes down. Swiffer, though, in split push mode, going to take down the inner turret. And Spooks, look, they're mirroring each other. They might be not on the same side of the map as Swiffer takes a whole bunch of poke. There's the Ghostblade, actually, as Rymeister. Okay. Looking adorable with that skin. My personal favorite Varus skin, ladies and gentlemen. There's Spooks is going to be able to take down the top inhibitor turret. Swiffer going to do the same in the bottom lane. Bottom lane. A mirror image almost. Best Friends Club doing their thing just in other lanes this time. Sin, he's trigger happy with that ult. Most definitely. Chains of Corruption are going to go wide one more time. Few rockets and arrows flying through as well as Swiffer looking to try and take someone down, but Junes just runs in. The hero play not going to pay off just yet as the Chiefs now transitioning into all of the inhibitors. Baron just smacking away at everything. The Sin members just getting choked out of their base. Banner of Command was used on a minion here from Sin, but it's just not enough to keep the Chiefs at bay. They need to try and get a fight working in their way because otherwise they're just going to lose this game. Chiefs are completely in control right now. There's no way for Sin to look for a fight. They've got to have a desperation attempt. The last tower still standing, but slowly being chipped at by minions. They're going to have to go for it sooner rather than later. That's another ultimate out from Rymeister as well. It's on pretty low cooldown. Ejim might actually die from this as Trashbro came through onto Radia, but not going to find anyone here as Rosie. He's going to fall down. Trashbro going to get destroyed through the Unbreakable Will. Swiffer down as well. Picks up the kill under Stealthix. Dances onto Rymeister at the same time. Are they going to finish the ace? Radia looks for it. Doesn't get it onto Rymeister there, but the Nexus is going to fall down. Sin fall to the Chiefs in game number 13. Chiefs managed to win it this time around. Yeah, they find themselves the victory. Of course, Sin giving it a valiant attempt with that sort of a cheese top laner pick there to really round out their team comp and just give it to the Chiefs. Yep. They couldn't find a way to make that one work in the end, and Chiefs just reigned supreme. Yeah, Chiefs once again undefeated, 13-0, but let's throw it back out to Pastry Time and Spawn for some further analysis.
Thank you very much, Atlas and Rusty. And wow, what again there from the Chiefs, Spawn. We seeing once again, we just don't give Radia Callista.
Yeah, what, 100 CS up, finishes the game 7-2-7. Once again, more control over those neutral objectives. Didn't pay off for Sin, but you know, they tried to throw something different at the Chiefs. See how they dealt with it. They've been so formidable during the regular season. You can understand why they would go with a curveball. Just didn't work out.
No, it really didn't. And the Chiefs continuing an undefeated streak. Now 13 games straight. Looking to the last game of the week thinking, you know what? 14-0, this time we can do it.
Yeah, exactly right. They want to be that team that sets the history in the OPL, goes through a regular season split undefeated. Looks like they're in a good area to be able to do so. Swiffer playing fantastically. Multiple unique champions coming through. Radius so solid in the bottom lanes. Everyone on their lineup is just looking great.
And I feel like they didn't give anything away, which is important for the Chiefs. You know, they know they're moving into the #1 seed, into those playoffs, so want to make sure they hide strategies, especially if they've got something maybe juicy cooked up. But let's talk about Sin for a second. We talked about them needing to win here. Let's have a look at the standings now and just see where Sin now sit after that game.
Yeah, exactly right. You see Sin down there 5-8 along with Absolute, both of them losing today. That gives Avant that one-game buffer to see if they can secure. But the big one so far is Direwolves. They're now locked into playoffs. Cannot fall out the back end. The tie that we were talking about no longer exists, so they're still in contention for the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th spot.
Yeah, we're getting closer and closer to seeing which team, which 4 teams, are going to be into playoffs. So we've already got the Chiefs locked in. Legacy were in starting off this week here, and our Dives have locked their spot. The actual position, not set just yet, but that's 3 very strong teams in the playoffs.
Exactly right, and let's talk what that means for the bottom of the table. Now, if Immunity able to sneak a win, they can join the other teams at 5-8, try and avoid avoid that relegation series by securing the 5th position. It's going to be so important. You don't want to get one of these challenger scenes in the relegation set. So everyone now looking for some wins.
Yep, just as a reminder, 5th place, a safe spot. You don't make playoffs, but you get promoted back into the OPL for the next season. So that's a safety spot. 6, 7, and 8, though, you have to play. You get to choose the highest seed you finish. So even if you're going to finish bottom 3, it's better to finish towards the top. So as it turns out, we'll play tiebreakers if necessary for every seed, because every seed matters.
Yeah, exactly right. So we'll see how it happens on the back end of this split. All the teams, 1 game left, apart from Unity, who've got a couple to play there, but we'll have to see how it works itself out.
We will, and we're going to answer a couple more questions now. So we love the questions you guys gave us in the first round. So let's have a look at some more questions now again. As we start off, to be honest, how do you style your hair? Lol, like, what do you ask for at the barbers? From DJ Sticky Fingers.
I'm going to let you take this one first.
Me? Actually, if you haven't noticed, by the way, my hair pretty much gets cut always the same way. So short back and sides, long on top.
Yeah, I'm the exact same. I asked for shabby chic, a little bit more shabby than chic, but, you know, then just get a whole load of hair product and dump it in my head.
You know what? I kind of want to find out what Alice and Rusty think, so let's throw to them and see, how do you guys do your hair?
Rusty, I'll let you go first. I think mine will be a bit longer.
It's complicated, but I usually just say do exactly what it is now, but take off a little bit and try and make it look the same. Doesn't always happen like that, and that's why I go to one barber every single time. They know what to do. I never ask for it.
Yeah, I need to pre-condition my barber for quite some time. So I actually have to travel an hour. There's a very good hairdresser just around the corner, but I have to travel an hour to get my hair done because they know what to do. Takes a while, but of course I can't go into the nitty-gritty. I then use a little bit of product. So then we'll throw it back to pastry time because I think he needs to stop me from talking.
You know what? I'm going to have to get the nitty-gritty sometime after the show.
I know he also gets a beverage with it as well.
That's true.
That's why he travels the hour.
Very good stuff. We'll check out our next question now as well. And this one is, of all top laners in the OPL, which of them has the best overall impact on the game in comparison to the other leagues? That's from @Sefter.
I have a sneaking suspicion @Sefter is a code account for another player, so I'm going to answer it the way I always do. Porky, for me, is the top laner in the OPL that has the biggest impact for his team. Don't get me wrong, I think that Swiper is fantastic. When Perfection was up there, you can make a big case for him, but Porky, time and time again, when Avant are playing their best League of Legends, it is when Porky is at the top of his game. Really impressed with what he's been able to do.
Have to 100% agree. Porky, just such a big playmaker. You can maybe look at, you can look at Swiper, but he's just a very solid player, does have outstanding moments from time to time. Jack Attack's another player that for his team does a lot of work there for absolute in the top lane, but as far as impact from other leagues, it's definitely Porky.
Yeah, it has to be, and you know, that's not taking anything away. It's just that teams balance themselves the other way, so Porky gets more carry potential for his team.
Yeah, great player there. As we move into another question here, this time, Rusty last name is Pie, so I would like to know what kind of pie does he like. That's from Uchiha. We're going to have to go to Rusty to find out.
What's your favorite kind of pie, Rusty?
I like all pies.
You like all pies?
Yeah, I don't know.
If I had to pick
a favorite pie to be a shepherd's pie because the potato on top's pretty nice, but I mean, like, all pies are great. My favorite pie is probably when you go down your local servo. You grab a 4 and 20 on the way. It's the best.
Okay. Chuck it back to pastry.
Well, makes sense there. Servo pie, everyone's favorite pie, and apparently Rusty's as well. So all of you are looking for a late night OPL snack can now consolidate in the fact that Rusty likes exactly the same pie you do.
Yeah, I hope it has a lot of tomato sauce on it though.
Yes, that's for sure. We're going to get to our last question of the evening. Now, these have been great so far, so keep them coming. But what is the routine for casters and broadcast team to make OPL happen? That's an awesome question from Dargorn. I'm awful at names, by the way. Apologies, but where do you want to start, Spawn?
Yeah, so I guess you can go from 2 different areas. You got the casters and you got the production. I'll let you maybe speak to casters because I know you put a lot of work into that. But for the production, we get together, we decide what War Room segment we want to do. That's what we call it out here, by the way. We decide what graphics we want to have. Then we give them all over to our producer. That's Benji. He helps us put it all together, really consolidate the show, tosses them back when they're not so good. We figure everything out, and I guess that happens maybe a day or 2 beforehand. Then we run through, have a rundown, make sure that we're comfortable with everything, go through the show, and then a little bit of a rehearsal, make it happen on camera.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So for casters, we actually meet in the morning before OPL, make sure we're all together, have the storylines down for the teams, know which teams and players we want to look at, we want to highlight, make sure we're going through our graphics, we're all together, and we've got practice during the week as well, just to make sure everyone's on top of their game. And, you know, if you got any problems, you're trying to eke out or try something new on on the cast, then you've got that opportunity as well.
Yeah, exactly right. The other thing that the colors like to do, I'll speak for Rusty here, is jump into solo queue. Make sure we're on top of what is the new secret OP. You'll see him running around with AP Gangplank. I play a lot of jungle Shackle at the moment. We just want to make sure we're ahead of the curve.
Everyone's got that comfort solo queue game, I feel like, before the broadcast. They're just like, you know what? I just want to win, feel good, and come into the broadcast.
Yeah, and if I lose, I go on tilt. So,
Yeah,
you know, that's why I'm like this tonight.
You'll know when he's lost. So you're going to get no next match. Again, thank